Good afternoon. My name is Nakisha Tibbs, and I'm going to discuss with you executive function disorder. Executive function disorder is within the autism spectrum disorder rainbow. First, you have Asperger's syndrome. Second, you have pervasive developmental disorder, where the not otherwise specified um, diagnoses are. And as executive function disorder is located within that spectrum. Third, you have autistic disorder, which is the classic autism. Fourth, you have childhood disintegrative syndrome. And fifth and lastly, you have Rett syndrome. Executive functions are sometimes called the CEO of the brain. Executive function skills enable us to plan, focus attention, pay attention, organizing, prioritize, remember instructions, starting tasks, stay on task, stay focused to complete the task, manage multiple tasks, understand different points of view of people or others, avoid saying or doing the wrong things, do things based on your experience, regulating your emotions and self monitoring. That means you're able to keep yourself on track with what you're doing. It also creates challenges with learning. It's common in children who learn and think differently. At this time, up to 90% of children with ADHD struggle with executive dysfunction. It impairs goal directing behavior. Lots of children with learning disabilities struggle with it. There's a lot of confusion around executive function and how it relates to ADHD. When executive functions aren't working as it should, the child's behavior is less controlled. This can affect their ability to work or go to school, do things independently, maintain relationships, and disabilities have ways of presenting themselves. And with the executive functioning issues, children having disabilities display deficits in being forgetful, having problems planning ahead, trouble with setting goals to plan ahead. Executive dysfunction is a term used to describe the range of cognition, behavioral, and emotional difficulties which often occur because of another disorder or traumatic brain injury. They have problems with organizing and prioritizing information. They engage in all or nothing thinking, focusing either on details or on the big picture, but not both. They have difficulty disengaging from one task and shifting to another, having problems with shifting between time periods or types of information, become increasingly overwhelmed as workload increases, and they have problems with applying what has been learned to a task in order to demonstrate knowledge. Examples of this disability includes individuals with executive dysfunction struggle with planning, problem solving, organizing, and time management. General barriers to learning that are common to many of the disabilities, including problems with developing a plan, initiating tasks, and generating ideas. Estimating the amount of time required to complete a project is also a problem for them. Communicating information in an organized, logical, and sequential manner, retrieving information from long term memory, and manipulating information in short term memory is also a challenge. Normally, executive function develops quickly in early childhood and into teenage years. It affects brain development. The brain development that shows in scans is that it affects where the behavior and control is located in the brain, use of rules, which is located in the middle left front of the brain. They have problems with risk and reward, which is the lower front portion of the brain, the left front portion of the brain. Error processing information, and that's in the middle of the brain. The working memory, which is in the innermost portion of the brain. Reaction and response, which is located in the back of the brain. And their emotions, which is located in the lower back left of the brain. Executive function and self-regulation skills depends on 3 types of brain function: working memory, mental flexibility, and self-control. These functions are highly interrelated, and the successful application of executive function skills require them to operate in coordination with each other. Each type of executive function skill draws on the elements of the other. Working memory governs our ability to retain and manipulate distinct pieces of information over short periods of time. Mental flexibility helps us to sustain or shift attention in response to different demands or to apply different rules in different settings. Self-control enables us to set priorities and resist impulsive actions or responses. Children aren't born with these skills. They are born with the potential to develop them. If children do not get what they need from their relationships with adults and the conditions in their environment, or worse, if those influences are sources of toxic stress, their skill development can be seriously delayed or impaired. Adverse environments resulting from neglect, abuse, and or violence exposure may impair and expose the child to toxic stress, which disrupts brain architecture and impairs the development of executive function. Genetics also appear to play a role in the development of executive function. One of the parents may also struggle with it. Keep in mind, though the executive function can improve with practice, if the child is not in an environment where it is known that they have to build their skills, it will not be impaired. It will not be improved. Giving children opportunities to pause, step back, and reflect on problems before trying to solve them can help them build these skills. This kind of practice can create changes in brain function that lead to faster brain development. People with ADHD, also depression or learning disabilities, often have problems with these skills. An injury to the front of the brain can harm your ability to stay on task. The exact causes remains unknown. Studies have shown that the frontal areas of the brain really are responsible for the executive function and are slower to develop. Damage from Alzheimer's disease, strokes may also cause this problem. Trouble with executive function can occur with many learning differences, and it always occurs with ADHD. Here are some ways that difficulties with executive function skills can overlap with other conditions. In ADHD, It is essentially a problem of executive function. It main, its main symptoms are all the results of trouble with executive skills. These include impulsivity, difficulty paying attention, poor working memory, trouble managing emotions, and difficulty shifting focus from one to another task. Learning disabilities don't always involve a problem with executive function, but it's not uncommon for kids with dyslexia, dysgraphia, or dyscalculia to also have trouble with executive function skills. Learn how problems with executive function can impact reading and math will help you with those disorders. Slow processing speed isn't a problem with executive function, but it can create problems with it. Not being able to quickly size up situations and consider the options means that children can't solve problems as fast as they need to. Anxiety and depression are common in children who struggle with executive function, like children with ADHD. They're also common in children with learning disabilities. Sometimes it's hard to figure out what's causing certain behaviors without professional help. When children have opportunities to develop executive function and self-regulation skills, individuals and society experience lifelong benefits. These skills are crucial for learning and development. They also enable positive behavior and allow us to make healthy choices for ourselves and our families. There are professionals that are available to help. Pediatricians, neurologists, developmental behavioral pediatricians, nurse practitioners, and psychiatrists don't test for trouble with executive function, but they can refer children to specialists who do. These medical professionals can diagnose ADHD, though, and develop an ADHD treatment plan. There are no medications just for executive function, but there are medications for ADHD, and they look for other related issues like anxiety. Clinical child psychologists may test for challenges with executive function as part of a full evaluation. They may also diagnose ADHD and mental health issues like anxiety. Some psychologists provide behavior therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy. Behavior therapy can help children replace negative behaviors with positive ones. Cognitive behavioral therapy helps children deal with thoughts and feelings and manage behavior. Pediatric neuropsychologists may test for trouble with executive function as part of a full evaluation. They may also evaluate for ADHD and common mental issues that may occur. School psychologists can administer school-based testing that helps plan, support, and interventions at school. They may also work with children to come up with strategies to help with social skills. Special education teachers may work with children to build academic, social, and organization skills. They may also work on strategies for managing behavior and behavioral management. There's trouble with diagnosing executive function. There's no diagnosis called executive function disorder. You won't find it in the DSM-5. The manual for clinicians use to diagnose conditions. But you can still identify problems with executive function by having your child evaluated. Executive function is complex, so it can be tricky to evaluate, but there are specific tests that look at wide range of skills that are involved in an executive function. These skills include attention, inhibitory control, working memory, organization and planning, concept formation, set shifting, that's the ability to shift from one task to another, and lastly, word and idea generation. Testing for executive skills should be part of a full evaluation that also looks for possible learning challenges. This type of evaluation can be done by clinical child psychologists and pediatric neuropsychologists who are trained to give the test and interpret the results. Evaluations for ADHD don't involve tests, but they can still confirm trouble with executive skills. Experts rely on different tests to measure skills related to executive function. Because executive function problems aren't recognized as official illness, there isn't a set of criteria you can use to diagnose someone, but there are tests to gauge how well your executive function works. These tests include Barkley Deficits in Executive Functioning Scale, known as BDEFS. This tool helps screen for problems with executive function tasks like organization, self-restraint, motivation, emotional control, and time management. It can provide information on how the person acts over a period of time. Also, as opposed to other tests which only provide in-the-moment information. Comprehensive Executive Function Inventory, known as CEFI. This scale measures executive function strengths and weaknesses in children from age 5 to 18. Parents, teachers, and children ages 12 to 18 can take part in the evaluation. Connor's 3-parent rating scale is used to measure behavior in children ages 6 through 18. It helps identify learning problems in specific subjects like reading, spelling, math, and also in terms of broader concepts like memory. Parents, teachers, and children themselves can contribute. Tips to manage executive function problems include take a step back. Take a step-by-step approach to work. Rely on visual aids to get organized. Use tools like time organizers, computers, or watches with alarms. Make schedules and look at them several times a day. Ask for written or oral instructions whenever possible. Plan for transition times and shift in activities. To improve time management, create checklists and estimate how long each task will take. Break long assignments into chunks and assign time frames for completing each one. Use calendars to keep track of long-term assignments, due dates, chores, and activities. Write the due date on the top of each assignment. To better manage space and keep things from getting lost, have separate work areas with complete sets of supplies for different activities. Organize the workspace. Cut clutter. Schedule a weekly time to clean and organize the workspace. Continue with these tasks and the skill should be obtained. To improve work habits, make a checklist for getting through assignments. Meet with a teacher or supervisor on a regular basis to review work and troubleshoot problems. There are also executive function coaches or tutors who can help you sharpen the way you plan and carry out tasks. Students can also create checklists with items such as get out a pencil and paper, put name on paper, put due date on paper, read directions. Providing support that children need to build these skills at home in early care and educational programs and in other settings they experience regularly in one of society's most important responsibilities. Growth promoting environments provide children with scaffolding that helps them practice necessary skills before they must perform them alone. Adults can facilitate the development of the child's executive function skills by establishing routines, modeling social behavior, and creating and maintaining supportive, reliable relationships. It is also important for children to exercise their developing skills through activities that foster creative play and social connection, teach them how to cope with stress, involve vigorous exercise, and over time, provide opportunities for directing their own active actions with decreasing adult supervision. Lack of predictable and stable daily routines at home can make it hard for the child to develop executive function skills. These skills are crucial to a child's ability to filter distractions, prioritize tasks, set and achieve goals, and control impulses. All are important behaviors for getting along with others and doing well in school. Later in life, these same skills are essential for adults in their roles as parents, employees, friends, and citizens. One can help a child to overcome executive function disorder by the adult caregivers and their children working together to plan and execute consistent routines. They build executive function skills and enhance parent-child interaction. Consistent routines allow children to know what comes next, plan, act, reflect on their behavior, and compare it to their plans, and resist temptations and distractions. As a result, they help children feel more secure in an otherwise unpredictable and uncertain environment. In addition, regular family routines can decrease parental stress. The intervention will be well tolerated and feasible for low-income families. The intervention will lead to the development or more consistent routines. Children and parents will show significant increases in executive function performance. Problems with executive function can impact children in school and in everyday life. Understanding your child's challenges makes it easier to find the best support at school and strategies at home. Here are some things you can do to help your child thrive. Download a printable goals calendar to help your child stay on track. Find out how practicing mindfulness could help your child. Encourage your child to pause and reflect for a moment before trying to solve a problem. Try to model this pause and reflect behavior yourself and ask open-ended questions about your child's plans. Use picture schedules to help your child get organized. Play games that can help build executive functioning skills. Discover more tips for organizing your child's backpack and download a luggage tag checklist for your child's backpack. Explore ways to improve your child's working memory and build flexible thinking skills. Get tips for talking to your child's teacher. Find ways to help your child slow down on homework and review homework when it's done. Watch as an expert talks about apps for teens who struggle with organization. If your child has been diagnosed with ADHD, read about ADHD treatment options. For more ideas, explore a collection of executive function strategies you can try at home. It's important for you to have support also. Share your own experience with online communities. Connect with experts through a free Experts Live events. Learn ways to cope with parenting stress and make time for yourself. As I close, I will say that executive function issues are difficulties with a set of mental skills that are key to learning. Children with these difficulties are sometimes, and in most cases, they're just as smart as their peers. Executive functioning skills can improve with practice. Thank you for taking this time to learn with me about executive functioning disorder.